Hello there, everybody. It's Sunday night. It's still November 6th, 2022. It's the longest day of the year, right? Because we got an extra hour today. I think it is. It helped because I was up early with a kids hockey game this morning in a very foggy ice rink. Anyway, super busy day. But I got back and I napped a little bit, was tired and recover after a long day. I was looking at everything and all the different algorithms and stuff that I work on, and I wanted to do kind of a big wrap up fun video. I was going to play some music and do some singing and stuff, but I don't want to get copyright infringement on this video because this is important. So I'm starting to get a lot of requests and I'm picking up more subscribers than I have ever picked up before in my life. This is now 2 out of the last 3 days where I'm picking up like more than a dozen subscribers. They were up to 1,422. We're at like 1,400 and like 14 something, I think this morning or last night. Stuff's going up, and it's because we're winning and there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So I have a million different sheets open, and what we're going to talk about is all of them. We're going to talk about football, which is hilarious. We're going to talk about hockey, which is still going on. We're going to talk about NBA, which is still going on, but has had 3/4 of the day finished so far. We're going to talk about college basketball because I got asked about college basketball today, and there are no lines, but there are spreads, and I'll discuss what's going on with college basketball and what I will share publicly and what I'm going to keep to just those that are paying subscribers to college basketball for the month of November. Talk about that. We're going to talk about betting strategy because I noticed the video I did about parlay versus round robin betting strategy is actually getting a lot of views and more likes than normal. And I understand why, because who doesn't want to try to make money with the algorithms when you're betting? I said I used to give cop out answers about questions about, when people ask me, what do you pick, Ken? What do you take today? And I would always be afraid to let people down. And it's because I just wanted to have a bunch win in one day, win a ton of money. And it's like a lottery ticket and everyone's super happy. And then you can lose over and over and over and over and over again and still be up overall. I felt like that was a healthy way to do it. It is sort of a healthy way to do it, actually, but it's also, you also end up having to deal with days and weeks of not making any money and losing. And it can wear on you, and it makes it not as fun late in the night and stuff like that. So people who have told me about sports betting strategy and what people that actually make a lot of money doing it actually do is they do straight bets because they don't parlay stuff together because they don't want to have their payout be dependent on just one outcome not happening, right? So when you parlay stuff together and round robin stuff, which I still do because I love the payout and it's fun, when you put a bunch of things together, you lose one of them and you're punished exponentially. In straight bets, you can make one like on the Jets at plus 460 and I get almost 5-1, and it's almost impossible for you to have a losing day after that because they had such a great line. And it doesn't matter that I also had that pick on a round robin today, but we're going to go through the whole straight betting strategy, what I've done, because every single day I've talked about straight bets. There's been 3 or 4 times in the last week. The straight bets I have said to play, if you netted all of them on the day, they're profitable every single day. We actually haven't lost with picks of the day I said to play, because even like when we lose a hockey game like Buffalo the other night, we also win the Jazz that night at plus 130 or something. So you net the two together and you're profitable. Every single day has been that way. And today was no different. And I'll discuss that. Actually, today's kind of complicated, but we'll talk about today. And then after that, and football and everything, then we're going to go into, I have the Google sheet with basketball and NBA, which I haven't updated yet, but it's nice to see the frozen picks because it brings up something like a goalie change in this game that mattered, all kinds of stuff in here. But then we're going to finish off with stocks because Monday is what's coming up. And I have been spending time, not sports algorithm related, but stock option algorithm related, going over certain stocks. And I mean, exactly like what we do in sports, where I pick the Jets off and they win at 5-1. I also pick the best companies to put right now in today's economy. And DraftKings went down 28% on Friday, and Schrodinger went down 15%, and Roblox went down 6%. This is sorted by the companies that went down the most on the list of 393 companies that I've worked on so far. That's insane. That's not necessarily because I'm talking about it, but it's because people are realizing things that I've been saying about these companies. And so then you have stuff like this. When you're buying puts on companies like this, you're making good money. And I own puts on Meta, Facebook, which actually, of course, was up today. on Friday, but they won't be up for long, even though they're only at like 90 and they just keep dropping because people think about the future. And anyway, all the work I do on stocks, I wanted to end the video talking a little bit about that because I really enjoy that. And there are the goal of, I guess, this video series about all these things is we're saying that the numbers, that logic, that rationality matters when it comes to putting wagers on things. And that includes not just sporting events, but also stocks and how to budget your time and the kind of food you can eat and how much to exercise. That there's all these things that go into making a well-rounded life that you enjoy and that's exciting. And that's kind of one of the reasons I was trying to think of what am I doing on this channel? Like, I'm doing what I would do if I wasn't paid to do it for the most part, which is predicting hockey games because my kid wants to know who's going to win hockey games, and we like playing hockey. And I like to encourage sports. I like to encourage us supporting things like professional athletics because it's something, my son really wants to be a professional hockey player, I'm sure, and looks up to all these guys. So because we support the leagues like this and we pay for tickets and we watch it, and in this case, we wager on it and have something in it, some skin in the game in that sense, it's supportive of the market, the economy, it creates strength, like it's good, right? So all of these things together, even though some of them could be considered wagering or gambling and don't have a secure financial result or payout, which could be a loss, it's still going into the market. It's going into GDP. It's making us wake up. It's making me do something. I'm watching games I wouldn't normally watch if I didn't have money on them or have the algorithm predicting stuff. So that is the big overview of all the stuff that's going on in this video. So it's really a podcast. And I have a lot of diverse interests. Almost anything interests me. You start to dig into it. So all these things are things that people are paying me for, and something that tonight is making me money. So let's just start here and then we'll branch out to all the sports. That's kind of a good way to do this. So I decided to do my crazy round robin parlays like I always do, which I didn't put in here, but not for a lot of money. But I did decide for the first time ever, I made the largest deposit into my sports betting account I've ever made, $500. I kid you not. Scout's honor. I've never bet a lot of money. $500 is the most, unless I was putting money in to like get a bonus or a free bet, which I don't even think I've done that. I don't think I've ever put $500 in anywhere other than the stock market. So I put $500 into FanDuel today and I said, all right, I don't know what to do with this NFL schedule. I did this whole video for everyone. All I could come up with was when you put straight bets on crazy stuff, you can cash them out in the middle of the game and you can make money. So I was like, but I'm not going to do that with $5 or $10. It's not interesting enough for me to watch the game if that's going to be the amount of money. I'm like, I'll do it for 100. I'm like, I'll throw 500 in there. I'll do it. So I did that. And what did I bet? I bet the Jets because we talked about the Jets, and the Jets were right here. Let's not look at Monday's game. It's not over yet. And the night game of Kansas City is going on right now, I think. So I'm going to pull that game out of there too. We're looking at everything else for the NFL day. And I talked about the projected score of the Jets game being 23-18 Jets. They end up winning 20-17. Now, I did put the $100 on the Jets, right? Well, what happened though? I didn't win the full amount. I won the full amount. Full amount was 560. I did not win the full amount because over off to the right here, I have something else. I have the C amount. That's the cash amount that I took at certain points in all of these games. And I took $308.60 apparently. I have all the tickets from this tonight if anybody wants to check this out, because I went back to really figure out what happened. We're going to talk about profitability. We're going to talk about what I did, why I did, because I'm actually really proud of what I did. I acted not as a gambler, but as a mathematician, and it worked out, and you'll see why. So I did not win 560 gross. I got this, right? I got, as a matter of fact, all of these I got, and we're going to talk about all of them here in a second in all these games. I did a bunch of cashing out in NFL, and I was paying attention to NFL, and I was paying attention to scores, which is quite tiring, actually. But I did do that. And we're going to talk about what happened. So instead of 560, don't get 560. I did the in-game cash out option, and I only got 208.60 profit on that game. So you're like, well, Ken, you left $252, $252 on the table, right? When did I do that and why? I did that when the Jets kicked a field goal and made it 20-17, and then they were kicking the ball off to Josh Allen and Buffalo with like 50 seconds left or whatever was left. Because I was like, if they walk down and score a touchdown, I'm going to be so pissed that I lost that $300. They're giving me the option to get 2-1 on my money. At that point, I was like, I've seen this before. I go, I want, it's either 308 or nothing. And I'm like, I'll take 308 because I really have a chance of losing the game if Josh Allen comes down. Of course, Josh Allen didn't come down, and I would have been fine without it, but I took it. So while that looks like I left a lot of money on the table, a couple $100, it's true. But look at what happened when I used the same philosophy for some of the other games. So other things that I bet, formerly known as the Redskins, aka the Commanders. Let's call them by their name. All right. Call them the Commanders. At 142, they lost, everybody. They blew a 17-7 lead. And I cashed out when they were up 10-7. I saw 38% here at $138. I was like, Washington can lose a game in Minnesota. It's still like the first half or something. I just took it and ran because I was like, that's all I wanted out of this game. And then when they were up 17-7, I was kicking myself being like, man, I could have got $242. Sucker. And then they blew the game. And Heineke blows the game after they played great the whole time. Sucks, but I make money. So what happens if I hadn't done that? Okay. Right now you're looking at different numbers of ROI. We're apparently up $558, but I don't know if that's accurate yet because we haven't gone through all the games to explain what happened. So what if I hadn't taken that? I would have had $138 less is what would have happened. I would have had 1.38 units less of what I'm betting. So an underdog situation where they don't look like they're running away with it, I took it. Here's some things I lost. Carolina in hockey, over 3.5 goals. They lost the game. I lost and never had a chance to cash this game out. Flat out losing. And by the way, I've said it before, I'll say it again. When you find yourself betting over-unders all the time and talking about over-unders, you're doing something wrong. Because over-unders are tougher to predict than winners. And you should have bets on winners. You can see I have an over-under here and I have an over-under here. And I lost both of them and had no chance of cashing them out. So that is a lesson learned about straight bets. Is betting over unders is probably not for me. It's not the way to do this. So that's a loser. What about the Red Wings? What happened there? Why are the Red Wings at plus 184? And why did I not take a cash out and actually win this game? I'll explain why. First of all, I fell asleep in the first period when they were down 2-0. That's number one. But why did I bet them? I bet them because I saw that Halak was going instead of Shesterkin today for the Rangers, which is kind of surprising because the Rangers didn't have a back-to-back game today. So that changed the projections here and actually slightly gave this game barely to Detroit in like a tie situation. This ends up being a tie that Detroit wins in overtime and they come back down 2-0. Amazing line, live betting line. They must have been at probably plus 800 or something when they were down 2-0. So they come back to win. I got them at 184 to win and said, I'll cash this out if they get up in the second or third period, which they never did until the end anyway. So I didn't have a chance to cash it out, but it wins. It wins because of the goaltending of Halak is not as good, and the Red Wings got lucky, and they're an okay team. That's huge. It's huge. Huge, right? It's 184% winner right there. So that's a win, and there was no chance to cash it out, but it is a winner, and it's not an over-under, and if I'd taken something like an over in that game, I would have lost because it was 3-2. Let's talk about the Falcons. Falcons were consistent in the NFL algorithm as a pick in both directions of this look to be a winner. We're supposed to win 23-15. They led a lot of this game and they lost. It sucks. I don't know why. They're leading a terrible division or something like that. I don't know what is going on there. That sucks. Guess what though? I made money on that bet, even though they lost. Why? Because they were up. I saw it was close and I took 20%. I absolutely love, I'm bragging about what I did in my in-game cash outs, not just because these teams lost, but at the point in the game where I said, taking 20% doesn't sound all that glamorous, but it is 20%. The game's over and it's 120 or nothing. It's not 120 or 100. It's 120 or nothing. And when you start to see that, you start to understand that there's this value in the in-game cash out availability that they're offering you. And we're smarter than the algorithm that they're putting together. And eventually, I've predicted this. I hate to take away this revenue stream, but they're eventually going to lower these in-game cash out amounts so much they're almost never optimal. I just see it coming. Because 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 of this, because it's too easy to win in fluctuations of the game. Or not that many people are going to do it, and they'll be able to weather the storm, and they'll try to make their algorithm better, and they'll still offer you reasonable cash outs. There's that too. The Rams. I mean, look at this. The Rams blow a game to Brady late. I mean, this is what in-game cash outs are made for, is this Rams game. Look at me making 47% on this game. I took that before even the fourth quarter. I took that in the third quarter, I think. They got ahead something. I saw 50%. I was like, that's fine. I was like, I'll love it, right? Took it. Brady does weird stuff. They don't kill the clock. They need to just get one first down. They would have won the game. They end up punting it away and let Brady come down and score a touchdown. Wow, just that sucks. But I made money. So there, this is why I was saying I blew 200 and some $250 here by not sticking with the Jets, but I got 120, 147, 138 in-game cash outs in games that lost. I lost and I won money on those games. Can't beat it, right? Seahawks. I decided to play that one too because I think Arizona stinks. Sure enough, I cashed out of this. I would have won. Only took 25%. I would have had 234, so I left another 100 on the table right there. I'm okay with that. I took the 25% and ran. This, worst bet ever. This should have been the Lions to win. Why wasn't it, Ken? I said play the Lions at plus 135 or whatever they were. Would have been a win. I took some ridiculous over because I'm getting too fancy. Dumb. I could have cashed this thing out or won here. That's what this should have been. I'm going to leave it, even though I didn't do this, because I'm going to leave it because I told everybody to play the Lions in the video and that I was going to cash out. I never actually made a bet on them for some reason. I forgot, or I threw it on a round robin instead. That would have been a win. That would have been awesome. Instead, I played something else and lost. So we'll just call it a loss. But it should have been a win. All right, next, there's two games going on. So I have it as a push right now. That's the Panthers minus 1.5 because I couldn't get a good line on them to win. And the Jazz and an underdog line in the NBA to win. So even if these games are losses and you lose them both, we are still, I believe, up money. Let's get rid of this in-game cash out right here. We're still up 350. I know, because I'm looking at my bankroll and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm up money regardless of what happens in these games. Yeah, I am. And that is the science behind how you dominate in-game cash outs by betting. As you can see, there's only one game I bet was an underdog, and it was Carolina over 3.5 goals. I should have just bet them minus 1.5 to win. I would have lost either one of them. I could have at least got a better line with that. So you can see bad pick. And then the over under here, that was ridiculous. Instead of the Lions, which should have won, right? Which should have won. And you should be up here. And you're probably going to win the Jazz because we've been winning with the Jazz so much. If you catch the Jazz too, then you've got, is that not working? Supposed to go up. Oh yeah, pull this down. One sec, not done. There we go. Should be up 83 potentially percent today, something like that. So this is the hard betting discussion of why straight bets are more optimal with lower variance. They just are, and picking good lines like this and having in-game cash out. Because what if I didn't do any of these in-game cash outs? What would have happened? Now let's assume that these games are a wash right now. Okay. You end up still being up 41% because you catch the Red Wings. You catch, sorry, you're more than that. You catch the Jets. You lose with the Commanders. You lose the over. You win with the Red Wings. You lose, you win. You win, but this was actually a different bet I made. I'm just going to pull this off completely. Yeah, you're still crushing it. Although these need to be a loss. 1 second. Or an in-game cash out, I should say. Yeah, you're still at 42%. So basically, it's just winning everywhere, doing this strategy and picking underdogs that the algorithm thinks will win. So all that being said, what happened in NFL? All right, so it's going to be a super long video. So we have a game that's going on right now, and we're not going to worry about the Thursday night game because we're just worried about Sunday. So Buffalo loses to the Jets. Almost exactly. We went over it. Cincinnati absolutely manhandles Carolina. They brought in Baker Mayfield into Carolina. That's how ridiculous that was. So Cincinnati never in doubt. Minnesota, miracle comeback against Heineke, and they just, you can see they just outscore it and hold the Commanders. So right? Green Bay season is over. Aaron Rodgers threw, I believe, 3 like red zone interceptions in the first half. He's given up. That's a guy who's like, hey, I'm just throwing the ball away. You want to see a thrown away season? Watch me throw the ball away in the red zone. Whoa, like Detroit actually wins. Like they even tried to get a chance to have Green Bay come back and win this game late. As you can see, it was super low scoring. They still couldn't do it. Right? So Detroit wins. Algorithm point projection said so. It said Green Bay stinks. So it was even overwhelming than the win score. It knew that Green Bay is not good. That's why the point projections were better. Patriots win. I wish the point projections would have reflected that because Indianapolis is brutal. 3 points. Yeah, I believe it. They were miserable. We shut out the first half. Terrible. So we got to get the Patriots doing that right by points. Don't know why it didn't. Going to look into that. Maybe their injuries are causing that problem. Jacksonville. So, hey, we're talking about rigging the NFL. Well, Raiders were up, 20-0, I think it was, and lose this game, 27-20? Oh, I don't know. That doesn't sound funky at all, right? That sounds completely reasonable, right? Let's just say that sounds like a game between the Raiders and the Jaguars, and I'm glad I had no part of it. Anyway, next, Tampa Bay. I wish I had no part of this game. But although, no, I'm happy with the part I had because I cashed out on the Rams and didn't get burnt by Brady at the end of the game. Thank you, in-game cash out. You saved me from being divorced from a bet, but my money because of Tom Brady. That's what you did. Somehow they come back. Notice that they actually get about the number of points we thought they would get. They get 16 instead of 14. It's just the Rams that don't score for some reason. What happened with Stafford? Like why was Tampa Bay's defense good? Don't know. Seattle, because Arizona stinks. You just know that Arizona stinks. That seems to be what happens. Seattle wins. Got it. Atlanta will blow games for you. Atlanta blew a monster Super Bowl to Brady years ago. Atlanta likes blowing games as well. They did. Miami. I don't know how this game ended up 35-32. Whatever. I don't know. Okay. Glad I stayed away from this game. I don't know what happened there. So that's the cutoff point by margin, right? And do those teams win? So this is how we're gonna filter, and then we're gonna filter in a different way, and then we're gonna move on to a different sport. So we're gonna filter, value filters greater than the win score is greater than 0. That makes us 7-3 on win score, losing Buffalo, losing Green Bay, and losing Atlanta. And Atlanta really hurts because that was consistent on the other way. Now we look at it the other way. You can see this 4 and 6 here. Well, that's not really 4 and 6, but point projection. What that is when we resort this, more sort options, descending by projected margin of victory, and then filtering, value filters greater than projected margin of victory is greater than 0, meaning we think the points of one team were greater than the points of the other team. We are 4 and 6, but we're 7-2 on the spread. So how about that? And what lost? I had to tell you Arizona sucks. Said Arizona was going to win, but they suck. Atlanta, they lost. The Rams have cashed out, lose a crazy game. Then it's Cincinnati. The Bears somehow come back. The Lions win. Commanders blow it. The Jets won. Colts shouldn't have been on here. We're terrible. And the Jags win. So what happened was the reason why this worked was because of look at all the underdog lines on here. How many underdogs did we have by point projection? The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those games. And how did they end up paying? By line. And what happened there? Top down. When you do it by money line and you say, what happened? You barely caught the Jets and then you caught the Lions. And that was enough to make you profitable by staying away from the Jags. Anyway, you're supposed to take the Jaguars, but I just refuse to play them because I'm boycotting betting on any on any team other than a team that's playing against them that I like is the only team I'm betting on when it comes to Jacksonville the rest of the season. So it's enough. It's enough. And the Commanders almost won, and Atlanta almost won, and the Rams almost won. So you're like, man, see how they all covered, right? So everybody plus the points was great except for Indianapolis and Arizona, which I said take Seattle. So that's the short of football. And it's doing some interesting things. Straight bets somehow was successful. And if we continue to look for lines, we're not going to lose those close games with the Commanders and with Atlanta and with the Rams every week. That kind of sucked, but still makes money. So fascinating stuff. You've got the Sunday night game, which it favors Kansas City, but there's a terrible line. So it's kind of like the Cincinnati game. What do you do? It doesn't favor Tennessee by points, right? It can't possibly. Yeah, it's up at the top. This game's not over yet, and it's 9 o'clock. I don't know what the score is. So, and then Monday night's game is the Saints in Baltimore, where it likes the Saints, but it's terrible with the Saints. So I'm just gonna say stay away from the Monday night game unless you're having fun rooting for points. That is the football breakdown, however many minutes we're into this. So we're looking for teams with great lines that the point projections say will win next week. That is the philosophy from now on. Just doing straight bets on those things, and I'm going to be cashing them out when available. Next, hockey, really fast. Goalie change in the Ranger game made this bettable for Detroit. That's why I bet them in one. Carolina, number one pick of the day, loses. It's hockey. That happens all the time. Next, Florida, will they win? Hopefully. Took a -1.5. We shall see because Anaheim's really, really bad. And Spencer Knight's really good. So Florida -1.5 makes sense. They are ahead in regulation and could potentially get an empty net if they're not already up by 2. That's hockey. Haven't prepared it yet for tomorrow. Let's do basketball. Basketball is about to, I've got 45 minutes until the Jazz game starts. The other ones are done, and there's a lot of green on here. And I won all the bets I made on these games so far. I bet on the Raptors because they were only -130, and it said they'd win the game by 9 points, by 7 points, and they won by 9 points because the NBA algorithm is awesome. We have a lot riding on the Jazz because they're at like +135, I think is what I got them on my bet right here. We'll see what happens. If I lose, I don't make as much money. If I win, I'm going to make more money. Let's get these out of here. And if they're up a bunch, I might cash out and take some money in the middle of the game. If that happens, same thing goes with Florida, especially because covering 2 goals is not easy. So we'll see if I get off, for example, if I get offered $150 in this game, I'm taking it. I don't need to wait for 218. Same thing in the Jazz game, actually, because basketball can go on forever and you can be waiting until midnight or later. So we'll see how this ends up being. And if I end up making $600 today, that would be an exceptionally good day for me. It's not obviously not the most I've won in a day before, but it would be the most I won straight betting and doing anything like this since we started doing this, because I hadn't been doing $100 bets previously. Next. So back to NBA for a second. Cavs win and cover. Said they'd win by 19. They win by 14. Memphis against the injured Washington said they'd win by 16. They only win by 6. So there you lose that if you try to take the -9.5. I always say don't play anything minus a bunch of points because you never know. A team might just try to win. Hopefully the Jazz will try to win and they will win tonight. How does this look with last year's stats? Is it about the same? We don't have results on the Jazz game yet, but it's about the same, except that Memphis is on the top and doesn't cover. So I'd argue the current version is better because it does not have Memphis on top like the odds makers had them on top. It has Cleveland on top, and Cleveland won by 14. So I think it's better. NBA is done. Let's talk about college basketball. So I got asked, like, Ken, the college basketball is expensive, man. Can I just get a copy? And yeah, people that have been with me forever, yeah, totally. I'll send you stuff, especially this first version, because after that, though, I'm going to do some work on it with the current season stats. That I'm not sending out without getting paid because I need to use it. I want to use it to make a bundle of money. College basketball is built for a robot. It's built for an algorithm because there are just insane number of games. So you're going to find interesting lines and stuff all over the place. And I have never tried the straight betting strategy with college basketball, but oh my gosh, when the college basketball algorithm as the season starts and teams are in different positions and teams change their structure and they're not the same as they were last year. When weird, crazy underdog lines pop up, I do not want to publish that publicly. I want to send it to people that are on the email list with me here. And I'm going to tell them the straight bets I'm making. But I'm not telling YouTube world about that until we get through November for a little while, because what's going to happen is there's going to be things that are like plus 800 and plus 500. And I'm going to be like, guys, you should probably bet like a lot of what you have on that. If you have in-game cash out ability as well, I'm like, if somebody's 800, plus 8-1 and the algorithm says they're going to win, you might have a good chance of winning that game. So it's not like normal things. And I don't want to, because we will change the lines instantly as soon as I get this public to everyone. And a lot of the value will go away. So I am going to be greedy myself, and I'm going to use it in this early infancy in the first couple of weeks, especially to probably make a small fortune if I do it right. And that's my goal. So you can jump along in the ride with that. Right now it's $175 and it goes up $5 every time. But okay, people don't want to spend that. Don't spend it. You're not going to see what those picks are in the first couple of weeks. And I might do recap videos and tell you how I did, but I don't even want to leak out the formulas I'm gonna put other than to people who buy it. But it's eventually going to get to in the hands of the odds makers, and we're eventually going to lose some value. But there is this Goldilocks period of time, and I'm excited to mess around with that, which starts basically Tuesday and then immediately thereafter. But Tuesday, not so much. So Tuesday, we're working with all of last season stats right now. And I don't mind putting this out, one, because there are no lines. You can see that there are no lines yet. They've just given points. But we have something called a spread cover number, because this thing is awesome and unbelievable. And it really, really is. And it's going to be even more unbelievable because I'm going to program the projected scoring that involves the health numbers, just like I did in NBA. So these NBA scores have gotten better. As you can see, our projected margin of victories and the actual margin of victories, depending on how the Jazz do, are looking okay. But the scores are coming out of how injured the team is as well as their players. I'm adding that in to college basketball. I have not done it yet, obviously, because we don't even have current season players yet. Like we are totally estimating off of last year. It's pretty awesome that you can do something off of last year that's pretty great, even without the current rosters and everything. But that's just because college basketball, only like 25% of the players will probably get moved out as seniors and stuff like that. So there is some continuity from year to year. But I will I'll get this out a little bit. We're going to talk about these games. For example, and then we'll move on to some other topics. For example, like, is there anything of interest here? There are no lines yet, so there isn't anybody at plus 800 yet. But what there is and what there are there going to be teams that have a spread, and their spread is going to be positive if they are an underdog, and we think that they're going to win over here. So who are those teams? Okay, let's find out. Let's go to team of reference, more sort options. We're going to go we're going to go descending by spread number, not spread cover, but spread itself. That's going to give us all the teams with the highest number of points that will be given to us, which is apparently Murray State against St. Louis gets 13 points. That game is probably going to be like plus 400 or something like that. Now, that may not be a great pick. It is not a great pick, and I'll explain why. They're away, first of all, and we have no home bump. So we need to add a home bump in here. Home bumps are related to moving teams that are home up on the list and moving teams that are away down on the list simply because they are home or away. It actually matters in college basketball, and the home bump is between 5 and 20% on days. So we're going to go with 5%, and we're going to see what happens. And what it does is it moves things around just a little bit. And so some of those teams, like for example, Murray State went off of the list because they're no longer favored anymore because they were an away team and they weren't favored by more than a 5% margin. So now it's Long Beach State at plus 4 points. So it's really only plus 4 points. So these are the underdogs. And like South Dakota State at Akron is actually okay here because this has a 9% margin away and their strength of schedules are kind of equivalent. So this is starting to be, when you handicap this file, something that looks like a pretty good pick is South Dakota State +4, South Dakota State to win, even though they're away. Generally, I would say do not take any away teams because home teams are what you always want because home teams win the most. So let's just look at home teams. All right. Because whenever I say a pick of the day, for example, in college basketball, I don't want to make this promise because it's tough to keep, but I want it to be a promise, which is the pick of the day in college basketball always has to be a home team because home teams almost always win. That's just the truth. So you have to have the home team be a pick of the day. It cannot be an away team just because there's a good line. So let's stick to that throughout the whole season. And we'll see if we can, like, I'm sure we'll lose a pick of the day throughout the season, but let's see if we can really, really get almost all of them right, like 80 to 90% of them right, because you should be able to. So we do have some home underdogs, and we only have one. It is Buffalo at home against Colgate, and their strength of schedule is better at 4. So this is a great one, even though we're going off of last year's stats, and I really don't know. Buffalo at home against Colgate. Right now, with the export and the odds that have been imported, and all we have now here on Sunday night is actually the college basketball pick of the day. It is clear because it's going to be the only underdog line that's home, it looks like, on this list. And they have a better strength of schedule differential from last year. So Buffalo over Colgate, we have found the pick. That is Tuesday. And we like Buffalo a lot, apparently. So this thing getting worked on, a bunch of things are happening, and this is going to look completely different on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and all throughout November. So if you are interested in wagering, you will not regret purchasing this for me. You will not. You will wonder why it's only what you paid for it. Put it that way. All right. So lots of awesome things going on with college basketball, which we will get into more later. What else do we have open here? We have the Google Sheet and we have stocks. So Google Sheet, you get Detroit with a win. We won't worry about updating the Google Sheet, but you can see everything here was pretty much in the same list. Everything looks good. So we're going to go to stocks real quick. So we'll finish on this because Monday is a stock day, and before any of other games are happening other than the games tonight, it's going to be about the stock market. We have an election on Tuesday in the United States. We've got Congress, all the entire House gets voted on every 2 years, and then you've got a third of the senators also. So, I like to discuss both politics and stocks and companies kind of in the same breath many times because they are completely intertwined. The biggest spender on the planet is the US government. And the people who direct the US government spending are US citizens and sometimes foreign nationals, unfortunately, but generally US citizens. And it's kind of what we agree on and what we pressure our representatives to support and put funding into is generally what happens. I know that we are all not happy with that, and certain people we feel get preferential treatment or special interest money that goes to specific things that cause us to be frustrated that why are we subsidizing oil companies all the time? Why are we doing these things? We could be doing other stuff. It's an endless debate about where that money goes. But what's fascinating about the stock market is that you can make judgments about what's going to happen in the public sphere and turn it into money, because there's a lot of public sentiment that goes involved with stock prices and buying and selling. And if you just watch it in the same way that I watch tons of other things in sports, you get a look at what is going on a broad scale and where hedge fund managers are dumping their money and all kinds of things. And I've learned that I am the happiest investing in the stock market when I'm doing two different things. One is I am rooting for companies that I love and that I want to see succeed and do great things. Number one on my list has been and continues to be Tesla. Tesla, Tesla. I am a parishioner at church. Elon, our savior, is my comment. That guy is smarter than me, and I'm pretty damn smart. He is smarter than me, and I'm always catching up to what he is doing and realizing that he has been right about stuff, even when I initially don't agree. He's transforming a lot of stuff, including Twitter right now. Now I can have a whole discussion about what's going on there, and I will because it's fascinating. He's trying to make the social network the social media sphere and the way our feeds are operating through Twitter. He's trying to make them better for humanity and not monetize the way they are now for the benefit of the owners of the company and not necessarily the benefit of the user and the human being. I can see it by peering into his personal tweets as he is tweeting personally to all of us and taking over the platform with which he is doing that as the richest man on the planet, who's running, if he's not building rockets and launching rockets or building electric cars, he's trying to go to Mars. If you don't call that super genius, I don't know what is. Well, he still runs Tesla, and I am going to be buying a Tesla with college basketball money that we make in November, because we should all be driving around electric cars because they're awesome. And we can take energy from the sun, turn it into batteries, and never have to burn it or transport any more gas for transportation for vehicles ever again. So they're number one. And I say I'm happiest in the market doing one of two things: either buying long haul stock options on companies like Tesla, who's extremely low right now, but I wouldn't do it tomorrow. Wouldn't do this tomorrow because there's an election Tuesday and there's apprehension everywhere and nobody's dumping a ton of money in the market. So it's not the time for long calls, even though there will be a time for long calls, along with a bunch of other global instability and potential violent conflicts going on more than normal across the world. So it is not a good time to do long calls. It is a good time to play on the apprehension and the uncertainty by buying puts on stuff. And the puts that I've been talking about had amazing days on Friday. Like I said, DraftKings isn't even on it. DraftKings was down 28% or 29%, even though it's only $4 a share because they're not worth anything. They broke off this thing because there's an error in the formula, but they did terribly. Schrodinger is not producing and also went down 5%. And Roblox went straight down. I tried to buy an option on Roblox. It just went straight down and my order didn't go through. They're going to keep going straight down. Terribly run company. Too much selling and admin, and they're just a silly video game that's eventually going to go away. And even the kids I know that play it don't want to play it anymore. Put it that way. Even though they're playing it, but they don't want to play it anymore. And us as parents should stop them from playing it as well. Now, well, what else would I say to go after for puts? And I have price comments on stuff, and because that is what to do right now. Things like bad timing. So I have bad timing here because these are companies that are involved in home building or big time construction, stuff like that, where the rise in interest rates that's going on drastically hurts their immediate future, meaning the next couple years, near term future. As interest rates rise, big projects slow down. It's one of the reasons why the Federal Reserve is trying to slow things down, because everyone's so concerned about inflation. And the only way to slow down, or at least the way you think about slowing down inflation, is you make people stop spending so that the people selling stuff are too scared to raise the prices to what they've been raising them at, because otherwise inflation just runs away with itself. Like if you're willing to pay $9 for a can of Coke because you have a lot more money now and you want a can of Coke, then you will do that at a sporting event. For example, you will spend $9 for a Coke at a sporting event. You won't do it at the grocery store, right? Now, maybe you'll pay $2 instead of $1. I mean, I remember when they were a quarter or 50 cents in front of Walmart. Those days are kind of gone in most places of the country. It's at least $1 for a can, and it's probably like $1.50 or $1.90 at your 7-Eleven, or $2 or more, $2.50 for a bottle of Coke, right? So that inflation has to be tempered down, and interest rates are the mechanism by which the Federal Reserve tries to manipulate it and lower it. Well, they have been doing that, along with all the apprehension related to election and uncertainty about changing of congressional power and stuff in the United States. A lot of reasons people are just hesitant to dump money into places. So when I have things like bad timing, tying industry, I said the New York Times, if there's a high stock price on here, there's a chance for a good idea to put a company like this. So looking. Not ones that I have target prices on for the most part, because those are going to be companies I think are going up in the long run. So I wouldn't mess with those. So, I mean, who else do we do this to? That's not really what I was planning on making this video about, because I'm kind of focusing on the ones that we already have. And I don't run around disliking a lot of stuff that I see other than Facebook. Yeah, sorry, we do it with Meta. So we'll just continue to focus on Meta because Meta is great. Yeah, I have them down here. I say put on them right here. They're at 90. Now, here's a company that made a lot of profits in the past. It's still profitable, actually. Why on earth would you say they're going to keep going down? Why? Why are they going to do that? Because when we put them in the chart here, you'll see that it looks like they're kind of reaching a bottom. And isn't everyone going to realize that and everyone going to come in? The answer is that will happen eventually. People will say that, their Instagram, the other things they own, what they're trying to build in the metaverse, they still are going to burn cash continually, and they're probably not worth as low as they're going, but they are worth less than this. Okay, look at the market cap at $90, $90.79 a share. Market cap is $240 billion. $240 billion for a service that was getting a lot of ad revenue on your use of their website all the time and your use of their stuff on phones. They got blocked off by Apple about ad tracking, so they couldn't do what they used to do with ad tracking to make as much money. And people are flocking away from their Facebook product because it has a terrible reputation, and cool people like me are not even on there anymore, right? And because we know it sucks and we don't want to use it. So they're trying to build the metaverse, which is a place where we're going to wear VR headsets and live in. I applaud the effort of trying to be unique, but even if you built an awesome metaverse, Zuckerberg, I don't trust you, and everybody else kind of knows not to trust you. And you're just trying to do it so that you can own all of our interactions on that platform. Listen to Marques Brownlee on his YouTube video discussing, he does a better job explaining it than I do, about why, even if it is great technology, why you wouldn't want to partake in what they're doing, and that everybody would do it all day. He's got to pay his employees to wear the headsets all day, and they're like, why are we wearing headsets all day? This is torture. It probably is, right? So yeah, they have more to go down. They got more to go down. They got more to go down near term because of all the apprehension, like I said, in the market. How far are they going to go? How bad is it going to get in the next week or two? It's a question. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them go down below 80. I really wouldn't. Because it'll be a cascade along with a lot of other things going down. I think that you can put almost anything this week. And what scenario happens where everybody this week, something great happens on Tuesday and all the elections are uncontested and counted by Wednesday or Thursday, and we have a really good idea of what the composition of the House and the Senate are, and there's no runoffs. And what are the odds of that happening this week? The most predictable thing ever is that there's going to be some forms of chaos. It can't not be. There's too many emotions being swung in different directions. I mean, even I'm voting on Tuesday. Like, even I'm doing something I'm supposed to do. If that's the case, I'm sure a lot of people are voting. I don't know what's going to happen because I've been all around this country, and I've seen the people that I respect and dislike on both sides and independent to be, so it almost doesn't matter who you are. Who you vote for is sometimes completely derived from a different reason. I, of course, would say you should vote Democratic because you do not want the current iteration of the Republican Party in power, because they don't believe in democracy. And they're taking money from foreign governments. They're taking money from the Russian mob, is what I've seen. Is that there are contingents of the Trump version of the MAGA party, essentially, that is a bunch of unregistered foreign agents, even though they're explicitly talking about overthrowing the US government. A lot of them are on the ballot in many different states. And even though I have good friends that are super Republican, I'm like, all right, well, are you guys like a Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney Republican? Like, are you a sane Republican? Or do you want to go rush the Capitol building with pitchforks and flags? Because I did a rollerblade video down at the Capitol building, and I discussed this, and I did the route from the ellipse all the way down to the Capitol to show you how long it is on rollerblades. You have a lot of time to think when you are ordered to go march down there. You don't accidentally jump over the fence and storm the Capitol and go in with zip ties and try to find the vice president and hang him. You don't accidentally do that. You do that because you were ordered to do that by a guy who's not in jail yet. So there's a lot of things that get me super emotional about what's going on, which is why I'm kind of ending the video on this for those that stuck it out. But I can tell you that there are people that are generally good people that do not understand the repercussions of allowing the Republican Party to be in any kind of power in this country right now. And hopefully we will vote most of them out, and there will be a majority of sane people, both independents and Democrats, because those are the only parties left in the country that are not influenced by foreign adversaries. And then we'll be able to start solving all the problems that I have envisioned on how we can solve them by having people receptive to those ideas in positions of leadership. I'm pro Biden. I think Biden is a reasonable guy. I think I like a lot of what Biden says, and I think he's trying to do the right thing. And I don't think that he is in bed with foreign governments. I do think that Trump is an agent of a foreign government and a sociopath and would kill us all if it meant he would survive and be victorious. So anyone who's leading a party, which he thinks he's leading the Republican Party, anybody who votes for that is somebody who doesn't understand what they're doing, because you're voting to shoot yourself in the foot and or shoot yourself in the face like Stuart Rhodes did, the guy who's being charged who shot out his eyeball because he's retarded. We don't want to be run by people that are complete idiots and want to destroy themselves and us. Unfortunately, some of them are on the ballot this year. Hopefully they won't win. So on Tuesday, go out and vote. It matters, because the more sane people we put into power, the better chance that our country and our planet will become a better and more viable place to live, that is more enjoyable for all, that provides us better healthcare, that provides us cleaner sanitary conditions and healthier food. And instead of people that are just out to make a buck and only care about themselves. That is the one problem with politics, is that it appeals to sociopathic narcissists. It appeals to people who want to be in the thick of things all the time and want the attention. We always joke around in DC that politics, that this, DC is Hollywood for ugly people. And the reason why you say that is you can be ugly and still win in politics. You can. It helps if you're better looking. Didn't help too much for Tulsi Gabbard, so she figured out which party she's on. But it generally helps if you're better looking, but you don't have to be. Like, there's a lot of ugly politicians that are both good and bad. So, but it appeals to sociopathic narcissists as well. And when you get those people in positions of power and they continue to try to leech on to everybody else and become as powerful as they can without regard to other people's safety and benefits and rights, then you wind up in the situation that we were in for 4 years. And it's a testament to us as a people that we voted him out and that he tried to overthrow the government. And there were enough sane, respectable people and good folks that we fought that off at that time and were able to transition power. Now we're at another point where we have an election and we have to go out and vote, because our adversaries are going to try to steal it away from us. So we have to come out and support what we believe in. And it's one of the reasons I do this YouTube channel. And it's one of the reasons why I'm getting political in a video that started off about sports betting, because there are a broad variety of interests which I like to talk about. So what I'll leave you with is go vote on Tuesday, and do not vote Republican unless it's for Liz Cheney, who's not running, or Mitt Romney, who I believe is also not running right now. I think he's in position. I don't know who else is good. You can let me know in the comments below if there are any other good Republicans, but don't throw out like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the one with the dark sunglasses in Colorado, Boebert, right? Stuff like that. Those people are sociopathic narcissists that don't care anything about us, and for some reason got into positions of authority, even though they should not be. And there are, all right, and then we won't even get into the Supreme Court, but we need to add a justice. We need to add one. We need to start having 5-5 ties on the Supreme Court, and we can solve them with artificial intelligence. That's a whole other video. I talked about it while I was rollerblading once. Anyway, point is, guys, that's a super long video. We've got a busy week. Watch the stock market go down, because I don't see how it goes up. And this will be one of those things where it's like, I was right about the Jets. I'm right about the stock market this week as well. And it's going to pay a lot more than the Jets, unfortunately, on many companies. So yeah, like Netflix is a good one. That's a good one. Although they kind of go up when there's, when people are inside scared. Um, anyway, guys, good luck. May all your trades be winning. May all your politicians be not corrupt. And may all of your picks be winning. All right. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy.